Obviously, the newly released Ryzen APUs are creating quite the buzz. Reviews and users alike seem to be happy with the general performance and price proposition of 4 real x86 cores, plus either Vega 8 or 11 graphics. The Ryzen 2400G, which has the Vega 11, is about as powerful as the original model at PS4 in terms of GFlops, and the 2200G is close to the original Xbox One. Both have overclocking room to spare, especially taking the 2400G into RX 560 territory. But like all past generations of AMD APUs, these new ones are still memory bandwidth limited in the vast majority of gaming scenarios. Higher speed DDR4 memory modules like DDR4 3200 yield about 50 GB per second, half of the entry-level RX 550's 100 plus GB per second. Consequently, performance of both available Ryzen APUs usually fail to deliver performance akin to their GPU capability. In the past 2 years since AMD started teasing Raven Ridge, base PS4 level of performance was expected, but so is the possibility of high bandwidth memory to fix well understood bandwidth problems. Raven Ridge as we know it is arguably not powerful enough to make expensive HBM use worth it, but plenty still see it as a logical solution. However, current market conditions make such a possibility difficult without raising Ryzen out of the zone of affordability that has helped earn the Ryzen APUs their acclaim. 8 GB of HBM2 and the required interposer for it was at least $100 late last year, and the industry has had trouble filling demand since, thanks to the mining boom demanding AMD Vega graphics cards that use this memory technology. 2 more products are now a part of this mix, the Nvidia Titan V and Intel's Kaby Lake G platform, that latter of which is the closest thing we'll probably see in regards to an APU using high bandwidth memory. Furthermore, you have memory manufacturers using their capacity to produce non-VRAM memories for use in phones and of course regular DDR4. This is already one major hindrance in an HBM-equipped Raven Ridge APU, but there are also other hurdles to defeat. Raven Ridge lacks the 1024-bit HBM memory controller needed to use HBM in the first place, which is going to have other consequences. At 213mm squared, Raven Ridge is slightly bigger than a full octa-core Ryzen CPU, and the memory controller needed for HBM is going to increase the size of the chip. It's already pretty large for the standard socket AM4 package, and fitting HBM2 is going to require some major revision. An HBM2 stack is about 90mm square, where Raven Ridge currently sits on the AM4 package cannot fit HBM2, unless out of nowhere AMD develops an APU to have memory stacked directly upon it. Within the current constraints of the package, the APU die will have to be offset upwards or downwards to make room for the HBM2, perhaps requiring changes of where capacitors are located and how APU contact pads are connected to the socket pins. In short, AMD will have to design a whole new package that also acts as the APU to memory interposer while still being AM4 pin compatible. These issues will just add cost since it'll be a single package for a probably small family of products. Then you have the argument as to whether the current Raven Ridge APU is powerful enough to justify the use of HBM. No doubt users are already finding a good deal of value in their graphics capabilities despite the bandwidth issues that persist. But getting the most out of Raven Ridge requires purchasing faster and more expensive DDR4. HBM could mitigate the need for higher priced DDR4 modules of course, but the top-end 2400G only hits 1.7 teraflops. And it could be argued that the added cost of HBM and a new socket package would be better spent on an actual graphics card. This is under the assumption that a 2GB HBM2 equipped 2400G equivalent could be sold at approximately $200, but this is also being incredibly optimistic. By contrast, you could purchase the much cheaper 2200G and put the rest of the cash to an actual GPU like an RX 560 or GTX 1050. Both would enjoy a commanding lead over a 2400G with HBM assuming Vega architectural differences and bandwidth don't play in the APU's favor. The only other argument for the APU would be system multi-threading that the 2200G lacks. Personally, I think an HBM-equipped APU is only worth pursuing if you have a more powerful APU to justify the memory. Effectively, you can subsidize the cost of the memory and interposer package by having the APU contribute a higher percentage of value. Basically, go big or go home. But of course that requires a bigger processor die without a change in process. In fact, RX 560 performance is what Intel's Kaby Lake G at its weakest current configuration targets, using a 2.6 teraflop RX Vega MGL with 4GB of HBM2. However, Kaby Lake G is a boutique platform for high performance but thin and power efficient platforms like Ultrabooks. AMD's APUs have to be more budget and value conscious, especially on desktop. Kaby Lake G's rumored $500 starting price is out of the question, plus it's a BGA product, hence no drop-in upgrades. A big APU from AMD needs drop-in capability. It would be a good upgrade path for current 2200 and 2400G owners if it offered a high enough graphics upgrade, while allowing APU users to avoid the graphics card issues that could plague us for the long term. At the top end of Kaby Lake G, you have the 3.6 teraflops RX Vega MGH with the same 4GB of HBM2. At 1100 MHz boost and 24 Vega compute units, this is more akin to what is needed to justify HBM2, but it would require a much more massive APU die, over 300mm squared. Owing to Vega's higher clock capabilities, AMD could reduce the compute units and pump the clocks up for about the same performance, assuming power draw and thermals are practical. Fitting this monster plus its 4GB of HBM2 stack on a socket aim-for package would be quite the undertaking. Yields could be a problem, but no doubt AMD would sell less functional dies, perhaps with smaller HBM2 stacks for cheaper prices. In the end, it would all come down to price for the end user in purchasing not just an APU, but a supported motherboard if a big APU with HBM could be socketed. AMD APUs are all about value, and in turn offer a pretty low performance ceiling compared to what used to be very cheap graphics cards. Today's current market, I think, could actually support big APUs as long as the memory prices remain steady and if miners can't efficiently exploit large APUs like they do more powerful GPUs. Designing to a certain thermal and power cap might be the best practice here, finding the sweet spot of value between processing capability that is worth it for gaming but below the radar of miners who would be better sticking with RX 570s and above. Anyways, thanks for watching and feel free to discuss your views on all this below. Take care everybody.